2023 Subaru Solterra first drive, teaching a new dog old tricks. Did you think the first all-electric model from Subaru would stray very far from the brand's usual formula? That's not to know Subaru or its band of merry, and very loyal, followers. This EV does have to bend to certain constraints imposed by the format and by its development arc. It was conceived in collaboration with Toyota, the BZ4X being essentially identical technologically to the Solterra, which obviously had its own say in what the vehicles would be. And also obviously, an all-electric powertrain means the Solterra was never going to be an exact clone of the brand's popular SUVs and one wagon. But that didn't stop Subaru from trying to get as close as possible to recreating its formula. And so our first test drive of the 2023 Subaru Solterra in California included an off-road portion that, while no Rubicon, was tough enough that we were advancing at a near crawl at several points. The Solterra enters a fast-growing electric compact SUV segment that for now is the main fighting ground for automakers and their initial all-electric offerings. Some have already been on the market for over a year, establishing their credentials, laying down performance and range benchmarks, and tending to their customer bases. Subaru, late to the party, has work to do. On the other hand, there's that loyal fan base. As long as the company can convince those folks this is a Subaru in its DNA, and not too diluted by the Toyota connection, it should draw in buyers. What's new in 2023? Well, everything since it's a new model. On the other hand, there's a lot in common with Toyota's new BZ4X. The exterior. Subaru's presentation helpfully laid out for us the dimensions of the new crossover in terms even we could understand. Lengthwise, the Solterra is about equal to the Forester, though the wheelbase is longer, on a par with the Ascent. As for height, think Outback. So, not exactly like any Subaru we've seen before, but still kind of like all of them. Notable features of the EV include a solid panel in front in lieu of a grille, black panels around the front headlights and above the front wheels, with more cladding over the back wheels, to help convey the model's rugged capabilities. Overall, it's a nice-looking crossover that even with some wildly different aesthetic touches still looks kinda sorta like the Toyota BZ4X it was developed in tandem with. Strong points. Pleasant overall design. Elevated ground clearance. Sharp-looking front end. Weak points. That cladding? Not sure. Does the look stray too far? Inside. The most exotic element of the Solterra's interior to my mind is the steering column, which slides out in a big fat block to meet the preferred position, leaving behind a small but noticeable hole, atop which sits the driver data screen. This means that instead of looking through the steering wheel's openings, you look over top of it to see your speed, remaining charge and all the rest. That worked well enough for average-sized me. The screen's position keeps eyes closer to the road ahead and precludes the need for a heads-up display. But my drive partner, far taller than me, found himself having to crane his neck slightly to see all the data on the display, because he could not lower the steering wheel enough due to the presence of his knees. That aside, it's a relatively roomy environment, the seating is comfortable while not in luxury class, and the minimalist approach taken with the commands still leaves physical touch buttons for the important stuff on the lower console. Strong points. Fairly roomy. Panoramic sunroof. Sound ergonomics. Weak points. Iffy placement of digital cluster. Passenger seat not power adjustable. The powertrain. The all-electric powertrain is of course the big new thing here. First off, as you had to expect, Subaru has produced an electrified version of its symmetrical AWD system. That was really the baseline for this car being worthy of the Star Cluster badge. And it's incorporated in a new EV-dedicated platform, the eSubaru Global Platform. That architecture delivers a rigid structure, a low center of gravity and more room inside. The official numbers are thus: official range is 360 kilometers, obtained via a 72.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack. The vehicle has 280 kilowatts motors delivering a total output of 215 horsepower. Power distribution is 50-50 by default, but it can go to 70/30ths depending on the road, or off-road, you're on and your drive mode. Range and recharging. We outperformed that official 360 kilometers, at least according to our onboard computer, on a day of perfect weather in California. Our drive took us from sea level on the coast up into the hills up to 1,500 m of elevation, where we were surrounded by snow, unusually, and then back down to slightly below sea level at Indian Wells. The reason this is relevant is that while we ate up a fair amount of charge very quickly on our climb, we recovered virtually all of it on the descent using the model's regenerative braking system. Of course, the caveat here is that Canada doesn't always enjoy California-type weather, and that 360 kilometers lower coming in than many of the competitors waiting, knives drawn, to greet the Solterra into the segment, shrinks to a lot less than that in winter. On very cold days, experience tells us we can lose up to 30 to 40%, so you leave the house on a full charge with a range in the low to mid 200s. Now that's fine for commuters and for scooting around town, but that starts to be a consideration if you're weekend warrioring, like Subaru owners are wont to do. Plus, rivals are flashing, flashier numbers. It's something consumers will want to consider. We also learned from Subaru that, to preserve the battery over the long haul, charging on very fast charging stations is limited, essentially to 2 recharges a day. Try a third time, and the system will recharge, but at a much lower rate. We should also point out that the system has a maximum charging rate of 100 kilowatts, meaning that's as fast as it will charge, even on a super-fast 350 kilowatt station. That's not terrible. Most folks will be charging at home, on a level 2, 240V, charger. Just keep in mind that charging on one of those does take up to 11 hours. Again, some rivals boast better numbers.
Thanks for watching. Drop a like. Leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.